everybody, my name is Dr. Katie and I'm here today to tell you a story. This story stars my special friend here, Mr. Ted. This story is all about one day Mr. Ted realising that he just doesn't feel quite right. There are lots of ways that somebody can just feel not quite right. This can be on the outside of their body or it can be on the inside. And this story today is all about Mr. Ted not feeling quite right on the inside. There are lots of ways that people or bears can feel not quite right on the inside. They can feel lonely, they can feel sad, teary, upset, tired. They might not want to go out as much or eat as they normally would. So we sometimes call this feeling blue. Before I start the story with Mr. Ted, I would like you to have a wee think about if there's ever been a time in your life that you've felt a bit blue. Have you ever felt sad and teary for any reason? If you have, can you think of anything that helped you feel a bit better? What kind of things would you suggest to Mr. Ted to make him feel a bit better, or to somebody else if they were feeling a bit low as well? So, Mr. Ted, shall we start our story? Let's settle in and hear about Mr. Ted. Mr. Ted feels blue. Mr. Ted always loved going to school, but there was one day that he just didn't want to go anymore. He was quieter than usual in the morning, and sometimes even didn't want his breakfast. His school teacher noticed the change in his behaviour. The teacher also noticed Mr. Ted sitting alone on a bench during school playtime, not even joining in to play when invited by his best friend Freddie. Mr. Ted's teacher asked him to join her during her lunch break. She said to Mr. Ted she had noticed he didn't quite seem himself. She asked, "Is everything okay? Is there anything bothering you at school or at home?" Mr. Ted answered in a teary voice and said that he felt sad. The teacher asked if there was a reason for this, as sometimes we feel sad and we don't know why. "I think it started a few weeks ago," said Mr. Ted, "when the new group of children arrived at school. Since then, my best friend Freddie has been playing with them and I don't think he likes me anymore." The teacher said she was sure this wasn't the case because Mr. Ted was such a lovely bear and such a good friend of Freddie's. "Well done for telling me," she said. "It can sometimes be hard to open up and talk about what we are feeling, but it is so important to talk, especially when we don't feel quite right on the inside. I think you should talk to Freddie and find out what's going on. Why don't you ask if he wants to play in the park and then have a chat there?" Mr. Ted liked this idea from his teacher and he thanked his teacher. He already felt a bit better by having somebody listen to him and let him get his feelings out in the open. Mr. Ted invited Freddie out to play and they went out to their local park. They laughed, pushing each other on the swing, on the slide. They played with a friendly dog. They saw the bees buzzing around lots of sunflowers. It felt good to be out in the fresh air, playing and laughing with Freddie. Mr. Ted said he needed to talk to Freddie. There had been something bothering him. Freddie said, "You can talk to me about anything. What is it? Are you okay?" This is how Mr. Ted knew that Freddie was his best friend. Freddie knew how important it was to talk, listen, and support each other. Mr. Ted told Freddie how he had been feeling and the worries that he had had that Freddie didn't like him anymore. Freddie said, "Oh no, I'm so sorry you've been feeling like that. You are my best buddy. All I've been trying to do is help the new kids to settle in because it feels good when you're kind and you help somebody else or make them smile." Freddie gave him a cuddle which helped Mr. Ted feel better. Mr. Ted understood what had happened and he thought about what Freddie had said. Freddie was right. It does feel good to be kind and help somebody else smile. "I've got an idea, Freddie," Mr. Ted said. "Why don't we ask if the new kids want to come on another play day at the park?" So they planned another day out in the park with the new kids at school, and they had a lot of fun. They all raced each other to climb the rocks, giggled while pushing each other on the flying fox, and laughed watching each other tumbling down the wire wall. They all sat on the grass and ate their fruit and drank lots of water.
They were having so much fun that they went for a big walk in the fields near the park. They looked for areas to build a den in. They saw sheep and counted leaves on the trees.
The next day at school, Mr. Ted's teacher noticed Mr. Ted looking happier and saw that he was smiling again. She asked how he was feeling. "Oh, I'm feeling so much better," Mr. Ted replied. "I actually felt a lot better after we had talked, but now I feel even better after playing and laughing in the park with Freddie." You were right. He wasn't ignoring me, just trying to be kind to the new children at school. Here is the best bit. We invited them to the park with us, and now I feel even better because I have new friends too. Mr. Ted's teacher was delighted to hear this and gave all of them a sticker for a positive attitude. That afternoon, the teacher gave the class a talk on what to do when you're not feeling quite right on the inside. She asked if anyone had any ideas about what could help make somebody feel better when they're feeling down. She was amazed to see hands shooting up in the air all over the classroom, as so many children said, "Tell someone how you're feeling. Ask for help. Talk to somebody you feel safe with. Get some fresh air. Exercise, go dancing, swimming, walking, or play in the park. Eat some fruit. Go on an adventure. Play with your friends. Be kind to somebody else." She beamed at the children in her class. "Yes," she said, "all of those things are fantastic ways of making yourself feel better. Or somebody else if you notice that they aren't quite feeling themselves." It's so important that we look after ourselves and others by doing all of those things. And if you're worried about something or somebody else, speak to somebody you can trust for advice. You can always talk to me. She finished the class by saying, "Right, everybody can go out and have fun if we just quickly go over things again. Remember, try to go outside for exercise and spend time in nature. Eat lots of fruits and vegetables and drink plenty of water. But most of all, don't keep your worries locked in yourself. There's always someone to talk to." And Mr. Ted smiled, as he knew his teacher was right. Simply by speaking to her, he had gone from feeling very sad and teary to very happy and smiley. He was feeling much better on the inside now. So there we go, everybody. I hope you enjoyed hearing and seeing all the adventures that Mr. Ted got up to when he was feeling blue and how each thing made him feel better. I wonder if there were any suggestions there that you have said have helped you in the past, or if there's anything new to try if you feel not quite right in the future. That's all for today. Keep looking out for each other and stay healthy and happy. Bye.